Hello everyone and welcome to Stan the Wine Man TV. I am your host, Stan Rattan, and this is a Blue Collar Wine Show where I help you spend your wine dollars wisely. I am doing my top 10 wines for 2025. Now a lot of the wine periodicals come out with one right at the, it seems like the first guy to come out with one is, the winner. I don't know how that is, but I'm just going to do it at the end of the year because you know what? It's the end of 25 and I want you to know what my top 10 wines are. Now this is a very difficult task because I could probably have 40 wines here. They're all under $30. That was the limit that I made on this because that's kind of who I am. I try to find good value wines. I know a lot of you would say, why don't you keep them under 20? Sometimes, especially with white wines, it's a little more difficult to keep them under 20, but these guys are pretty close to 25 and under dollar range. So I'm pretty proud of that. It was a little bit difficult for me to pick this lineup out, but these are wines that I've looked at throughout the year, that I've liked, that I've tried again and again, and I promoted them at the store. So I feel very comfortable with this list. There could be more, I know that, but that's the way it is. You gotta draw the line somewhere and say, these are the wines that I'm going to pick. So we're going to start with 3 whites. I have 3 whites, 7 reds here. I'm not going to spend a long time talking about each wine because I don't want this video to go on and on and on. But my first one, and this has been a go-to wine for me all year. I recommend it to a lot of customers. They come back for more. This is a Clos de Lumière, Domaine de Clos de Lumière, Côte de Rhône Blanc. It is 47% Viognier, 30% Grenache Blanc, and 3% Roussanne. So, a lot of Viognier in this bad boy. This rolls in at $14. Love this wine, always have, and I think it deserves a spot in my top 10 for 2025. And this one is a very good value wine. So we're just going to give it a quick taste as to why it should be in my top 10. Color is, sorry Bob, I'm not going to use a board. I got to go through this fairly quickly. Golden straw color. Let's see what we get on the nose. So it has a lot of fruit on the nose, a little mango, melon. There's a touch of grassiness on this one as well. Let's see what we get on the palate. So good fresh acidity, not laser sharp, but good fresh acidity, backs up the notes of melon, mango, papaya, a little bit of peach coming in there, a little bit of minerality. I like this wine. It's good balance, just a 10 in the delicious category, and it's $14, and I think it's just a great everyday table white wine, but the quality is up there. It punches way above its weight class. Love that wine. Clos de Lumière is part of the, Clos de Lumière. I'll lose it up. St. Dominique lineup of wines. So next in the lineup, and this is one that I tried in September, and I go, wow, this is a good Albarino. And Albarino I thought was going to take off this summer, and it did not. We sold way more Albarino last summer than we did this summer. So, customers are, they're changing a little bit. We had expected. This is the Lacania. What was the vintage on the, sorry, I missed the vintage on that, 2024. This is a 2000 and... sometimes Spanish wines are so difficult. This is from Rias Baixas, Lacania, Albarino, a Jorge Ordonez selection of wines. And this is a 2000 and... Damn. Where are you, vintage? Come on now, 24. Sorry. Light green writing. It's hard to read. I hate to put you guys through that. You go, Stan, why don't you look at the vintage before you start these videos? I don't always remember to, so I hope you can forgive me. Lacania Rias Baixas Albarino rolls in at $24. Again, very similar in the color to the Côte de Rhône Blanc. Albarino, I think, will take off again. I don't know why it died a little bit this summer. A nice kind of banana, a little bit of fig component, some tropical fruit notes. I'm getting a little pineapple, mango. Yes. Very good notes, very aromatic. Let's see what we get on the palate. Again, very fresh, fairly intense on the palate, intense notes. Like somebody Squeeze a little citrus on the, and sprinkle a little bit of fresh cut grass onto a mango. You know, a little citrus, a little fresh, again, whip it up, and then you got it. A lot of citrus on the palate, a little tangerine going on there. Yeah, just very vibrant, very fresh, good acidity, nice balance, good complexity for an Albarino. It's $24. That's a fairly comfortable price point for me as far as reds go. This is a great bottle of wine. Yeah. So as far as grades, on the first one I'm going to go B+, the second one I'm going to go B+, A-. Got to grade them. What's wrong with me? So this is one I discovered. I really like this wine a lot. And I think a lot of other people I recommend. This is 2024 La Casmette Palora Sicilia Bianco. This is Caricante and Grillo. This rolls in at $27. I just fell in love with this wine. Caricante is one of my favorite wines from Sicily, favorite grapes from Sicily. Caricantes can be very, very expensive. I know there's a couple out there that are $40 to $60. They put a little Grillo in here, which is not as expensive. Not sure if it gives a breakdown as far as that goes, but that doesn't matter. So it's Caricante Grillo, $27. There you go. Now you guys will remember some of these wines in my reviews from the past, on my past episodes. And again, this is a little more golden than the other two. Let's see what we got on the nose. A nice, very, very aromatic on the nose. Very intense aromatics. I get some fig. Kind of a fig, peach, mango thing going on the nose. Let's see what we get on the palate. Nice intensity. It is also fresh, but it has some depth to it. There's that peach, kind of mango with a little bit of citrus in there. I get a little bit of lemon going on in this one that I didn't get on the nose. Yeah, maybe a little bit on the nose. But like I said, very intense, good structure, long finish. The acidity is there. On these last two wines, we're talking about good seafood, shellfish, mussels, that sort of thing with these wines. They actually need food, whereas the first one, you could drink it all by itself, but it certainly would go well with things like roasted chicken, things like that. I love Caricante. It has a nice, you almost get like a, it's hard to say it, I know, but a little copper penny thing going on the back side of this one, you know, like if you licked a copper penny. Yeah, some nice orange citrus things going on this one. Nice intensity. I love that wine. I'm just going to go straight A, hedging towards A+. Now we're going to get into the reds. Hope I'm not going too fast for you guys, but I don't want to make this video too long. This is one that I've always liked. I went to this winery a couple of years ago in Crete. This is a Lyricus Liatico Red. It rolls in at $16. Liatico is the grape. At one time it was almost extinct. This winery had a lot to do with bringing this grape back to life. And this reminds me a lot of a Pinot Noir. My wife is a huge fan of this wine. She likes Pinot Noir and she loves this wine. And I think it puts, you know, it challenges a lot of what it could be. So there you go, Lyricus Liatico Red, $16. A little crowded up here on the table, that's okay. See through this one, it reminds me a lot. It has almost a little bit of a brownish tone to it. Yeah, just slightly, but you can see right through it. So very Pinot-like, almost lighter than many Pinots. Let's see what we get on the nose. It has a Pinot-like nose. Just telling you, you got that kind of earthiness, a little bark, a little mushroom. Some cherry notes coming through. I even get a little bit of root beer on this one. Yeah, very Pinot-like on the nose. Let's see what we get on the palate. Nice intensity on this one. Very earthy, which I like. I like a little bit of earth on the wine. Good cherry notes. A little bit of bark coming through. Nice tannins. but they're very approachable. Yeah, I just think this is a great wine, great value. If you're looking for a Pinot Noir, but you don't necessarily can't find one that you think in the price range, I like the earthiness on this one. I think it's a great match with a lot of foods, a little bit of spice coming through on the backside. This is a straight up B+ wine. And if you want to expand your palate horizons and you like Pinot Noir, I definitely encourage you to seek out the Liatico Red from Lyrarachus. Just a great wine, nice earthiness. Now, it might not be for everybody, but I just think this is a solid example of something that tastes like a Pinot Noir, kind of a cross between a Pinot and a Gamay. Earthy, good tannins, good food wine. Now we're going to move on to the Colazzi Bastioni Chianti Classico 2021. Yes, it has the black rooster on it. This rolls in at $24. I try this Chianti. I don't go to Chianti a lot. I mean, the wine Chianti. Some of them can be very rustic. A lot of people have trouble with that. Of course, being in the wine retail side of things, I'm looking for wines that people will like. I have a retail palate. It definitely, I mean, I have my own palate, of course, but I always think in terms of what will the majority of people like, and this Chianti to me, very darker in color. Yeah, you have a little garnet thing going on. Yeah. So, $24 Chianti Classico. I think it's aged 15 months in barrel and then 3 months in bottle. So, before they release it, let's see what we get on the nose. Almost kind of plum, blackberry, get a little chocolate, like bittersweet chocolate. There's some red berries coming through on this one. Some red flowers. Let's see what we get on the palate. This is what I like about this one. So it has the rusticity, that kind of rustic thing going on, a little bit of rust. But it also has a nice blackberry, plum, cherry notes. This is 80% Sangiovese. I think it has a little bit of Merlot in it as well. But just that nice balance of fruit, acid, and rusticity, which is very important when you're looking for a Chianti that you might enjoy, that will definitely please more people. But I think this is a very well-made Chianti Classico. Yeah, what I like about this one is it stays true to Chianti. It's not like big fruit-forward wine. Really solid Chianti, well-made, very has some fruit to it, some nice cherry notes, plum. The chocolate does not come through on the palate. I got it on the nose. That nice rustiness. Great Chianti, great with lamb. Would this be fantastic with lamb? And I will go straight up B+, A- on that one. All right, Chianti. Now, it's interesting that 3 of these, I believe 4, are from Italy. Kind of weird, but not too weird. One from Greek, one from Washington. Okay, let's move on. We are now on to the, this is a Sella Antica from, I can't remember, the winery's name is not written on here. But the wine is Sella Antica. This rolls in at, where did I put the price? Somewhere on here. Yeah, $14. This is a 2022 red blend Merlot Cab with a splash of Sangiovese. This was my pick of the month not too long ago at the store. A lot of you are familiar with it, especially if you're my homies here on the island. You know this wine. But we sold a ton of it. Why? Because it's good, and because it's inexpensive, and it's well made. Those are all keys to my picks of the month. They have to, I believe they have to pick probably satisfy at least 80% of the people that buy it. Not liking the way the screen's looking right now, but that's okay. We'll keep going here. On the nose, okay, there's good dark color. So Cab Merlot, little Sangiovese. boysenberry, dark cherry, chocolate, a little bit of spice coming through on the nose. Let's see what we get on the palate. Yeah, it is. There's a little teeny hit of vanilla on this one. You get a lot of boysenberry, kind of cherry notes coming through, a little chocolate. Now, this is like a 10 in the delicious category. The price is just amazing for what you get on this wine. I really like this wine. This is just one of those wines that you say you could bring it to a party and everybody would like it, on top of the fact that it's well made. Good complexity, a little grippy tannins on this one. This would go well with the food as well as just by itself. I'm going to go B plus on that one. Great wine. It deserves to be in my top 10. Let's move on to now this is for Provence, France. Mas de Bourgogne from Provence. This is a mostly Grenache with a little Mourvedre in it, and Carignan, etc. But predominantly Grenache based. I remember trying this and I go, wow, this is really good. And I had tried it once before. This is $22. It's a 2022. Mas de Bourgogne. This is a North Berkeley import wine. They do a good job of importing wines, as well as Kermit Lynch. We know all those guys. There's a lot of great importers out there. Shot of label. This is one of those short, squatty bottles. A reddish, dark reddish purple color on. You can see through it a little bit. Let's see what we get on the nose. Very earthy. You get a little bit of funk on the nose, which is okay with me as long as it's not too funky. I know some of you might smell it. We smelled the wine the other day and it smelled just like tuna fish, which is kind of weird, but it didn't taste like that, thank goodness. Kind of brambleberry notes on the nose. Very earthy, a little bit of that dark red flowers. Let's see what we get on the palate. Yeah, I know it's Grenache, but boy, this has some intensity to it. Grenache can be light. This has some nice minerality, almost like a crushed rock thing on the backside, but good fruit. I'm getting cherry, plum, red plum, cherry. A bit of earthiness to it. Good balance. Nice intense fruit up front, and then it slips into this kind of mineral crushed rock thing. This would be a great fruit wine for anybody that, I know you guys, maybe a lot of you had prime rib at Christmas. This would be a great prime rib wine. Anything like that, this would match up well with. I think you need food with this wine, but that doesn't mean anything in the sense that it's so well made, and it's $22, and I'm going to go B plus, A minus on that. Great wine, great wine. Especially for those who like a little bit of the old world stuff, that would be perfect. Now let's move on to this has been a stellar wine from the very first time I tried it. Keith Johnson from Decopa Imports does this one. It is a 2021 Coma Luna from Puglia, Italy. It is 85% Nero di Troia, which I'd never heard of before until I tried this wine. A wine, I believe, a grape that is mostly grown in Puglia, and then 15% Primitivo, which Puglia is also known for. We poured this at an in-store wine tasting the other day, and everybody was like, kind of went gaga over it, for good reason. Really dark in color, you can see it right off the bat. There's the bottle, Coma Luna, $15. Very dark, dark, dark in the glass. Yeah. A very dark kind of purple, dark purple. Let's see what we get on the nose. You can smell like the right fruit on the nose for sure. You can smell it. Very interesting blackberry. A little bit of licorice. Some black raspberry notes coming through. And some dark cherry. Let's see what, I don't know about currants. Maybe hedging a little bit to currants. Let's see what we get on the palate. Love this wine. Nice intensity on the palate. The fruit notes come through intensely, but they're nicely integrated, and it finishes with a little minerality. In fact, one of the customers that had tasted this wine thought it was dry. Now, it is dry on the finish. Now, if you had this as food, you wouldn't notice that as much, but nice dark cherry fruits, blackberry, some plum notes, there's some red and black fruits in this one. Good balance, good complexity. The acidity is well integrated in this wine, making it really balanced. It's a 10 in the delicious factor, but it still has that kind of minerality you expect from the old world. Love this wine. It's a great value at $15. Even getting, I just got to hit a little bit of blueberry and chocolate. Seriously good wine. I'm going to go B+, A- on a little $15 Southern Italian wine. Great stuff. This is where I get confused on where I should go do next. But now, you may have noticed I'm not going from 10 up to 1. These are my top 10. I'm not going to put them in any sort of category 1 to 10. They all belong in that top 10 category, and I think for any one of you that try these wines, you might place them in a different spot than I do. I just think they're my top 10. That's where I'm staying. I'm not going to go like, here's number 10, here's number 5, here's number... You know, I'm not going to do it because they're just in my top 10. I hope you're okay with that. This is the 2024 Masseria Lavelli Orion Salento Primitivo. So from Puglia area. This rolls in at $17. I think you guys remember me reviewing this a while back. Primitivo is Zinfandel, basically. Okay. Anyway. 16, 17 bucks. Let's see what we get on those. So it has that Zinfandel-like nose. I mean, you can't get around it. Definitely currants, black raspberry, dark cherry, a little bit of licorice coming through. Let's see what we get on the palate. I'm a big Zin fan. I like Zinfandel. I don't drink it all the time. In fact, you won't find a Zin in the house just because I drink them. You know, at some point I see a Zin, I go, I gotta drink that. I like Zin a lot. Doesn't mean that all Zins are good. I find that when you get to an expensive Zin, sometimes you get what I call a clam smell, which I hate in inexpensive Zins. So not all Zins are good, but this Zinfandel Primitivo from Salento, Southern Italy, at $17 rivals any of the pretty good Zinfandels I've tried from California, which is really the top-notch producer of Zinfandel. Nice intensity, currants, dark cherries, a little bit of licorice coming through. But once again, cool thing about old world wines, you get a little bit of that minerality on the back end. So instead of just being all plush and goopy through the whole palate, you get that minerality, which gives it some interesting complexity and balance. I like that. I love this wine. I'm going to go straight up B+, A-. Now, when I say these are all my top 10, you guys may say, well, you gave this grade and that grade. So you guys figure it out on your own. I know you can. You're smart people. You know, the one that I graded the highest, you say, well, that's probably his number one wine. Could be. But just going with the flow here. So, last but not least is the newsprint from Guardian Cellars, Cabernet Franc 2022, Wahluke Slope, Washington. This rolls in at $26. And this was one of the wines that when we were doing Cab Franc versus Carmenere with Mike Sheridan, we tasted this wine and we both said, wow, this is a really good Cabernet Franc. So, this made it in my top 10. And like I said, I could have gone through and scratched my head and came up with maybe 5 other different wines, but you know, these are the ones that stood out to me, and so I'm staying with them. So this is a really dark purple. Yeah, really dark. I like the color on this one, almost hedging towards black, with a little bit of red tones in it. Let's see what we get on the nose. So typical of Cab Franc, you get a little bit of a tobacco leaf, some green elements, some bell pepper, maybe hedging towards, well, not hedging, green bell pepper, blackberry leaf sort of thing. Not tomato leaf, though, which is very common for Cab Franc. A little bit of chocolate tones coming through. Let's see what we get on the palate. Yeah. So you get that kind of, there's that backdrop of like blackberry leaf or tomato leaf, but it's spicy. It has intense dark cherry currant notes that are coming through on the palate. Nicely balanced, well integrated, good flow across the palate, nice long finish. You get a little bit of that kind of chocolate thing, a little bit of chocolate coming through on the back end, but this is true to Cab Franc. It doesn't get too carried away. You know, oak can really kill a Cab Franc. I think you can give it too much of a mocha vanilla flavor if you use too much oak. This is very balanced. Jerry Reiner, the winemaker, very good guy, great winemaker. His Guardian wines are very well received by the public, but this newsprint, to me, is one of his best wines. I like it a lot. There's even a little blueberry kind of lingering on the backside of this one. Like I said, this is, again, a very delicious wine, but very well made. Good balance, good complexity. I'm going to go straight up A on that wine. So there you have it. My top 10 wines for 2025. I know a lot of people review the other things like the Wine Spectre and all those guys have their top 100, whatever they do. That's fine. Everybody has it. But I just wanted you guys to know what I thought were my 10 best wines for 2025. You can scatter through the scores and figure out which is number 1 down to the last one. But they're all really, really close. So that doesn't matter not that much to me. What matters is that these are great wines for under $30. Hope you enjoyed this episode. My next episode, I just want to talk a little bit about my channel and what I do with my channel, what it's all about. Because I want you guys to know that, you know, I have a full-time job. I work as a wine steward in a very busy retail grocery store. I have a big department. We do very well there. And so I don't need to make money on YouTube. It's not really something I think about too much. I do it because I want to do it, and I want you guys to understand a little bit more about the wine world and find great values. That's what it's all about for me. That's what it's about for me on this channel. I want to talk about that more a little bit later. Thanks for taking a little time out of your day. If you'd like to, please subscribe to my channel so you can see what's coming up. You keep watching, and I'll keep helping you spend your wine dollars wisely.